Okay, hello everyone. Am I audible? Hello.
Sir, audible, sir.
So welcome back to the course. Today we'll be discussing about different powertrain combinations. Okay, how to do a powertrain. You can say how to go for powertrain development. How to go for selection of power different types of powertrain. Means I will be selecting a specific powertrain from you can say a group of powertrains. You can say that whenever the electric vehicles are developed, a lot of architecture was actually developed. So we'll be discussing all those architectures. Let's see. So first, the several different electrified vehicle powertrains have been developed and produced with varying commercial success. In general, hybrid and plug-in electric technology has been applied to smaller vehicles due to the torque requirement for larger vehicles. You can say that the battery uh, system that is available with us and the motors that are available with us, they are very good. You can say they are very much efficient when we apply them to light commercial vehicles or light vehicles or passenger vehicles. Their efficiency is good. But whenever we are applying those things to you can say large vehicles, okay, or you can say large commercial vehicles, their efficiency drops because due to lack of maintenance. You can say large commercial vehicle means they will be going maintenance uh, in a cycle of let's say 6 months and 7 months. Okay, uh, and with this maintenance period, you cannot actually what you cannot have very good working system means very good working electronic systems that will be going maintenance with a period of let's say 6 months or 7 months. They will be wearing out, they will be damaging themselves, and you can say the application means the reason in which these vehicles generally work. Okay, that is also yet not perfectly you can say that correctly what aligned with the electric vehicle system. Means they go for off-roading, they go for on-roading. There is a lot of elevation where they will be traveling generally large vehicles. Hence the battery and the motor combination systems are not good for large vehicles, but they are very efficient when we apply them to smaller vehicles or passenger vehicles. Okay. Okay. Then again, we'll be going for hybrid electric architecture. So, what are the different types of architectures that are developed in a period of time? First, the first architecture was the start-stop architecture. Means we apply electronics and motors. Okay, we apply what? We apply electronics and motors to the start-stop system. Whenever you can see your vehicle pauses in the traffic, whenever your vehicle pauses in the you can say pause in the traffic, the engine is turned off. Means you can say that there are electronics. uh, by using those electronics the engine is turned off and turned on when there is pause, or you can say when the vehicle stops, restarting quickly when the vehicle needs to move again. So how this restarting quickly happens, you can say that sir, we can also stop the vehicle and we can also restart the vehicle, but in here the mechanism is bit different. The mechanism is generally goes for what? It generally goes for your you can say you will means clutches are there. You have to engage the clutch in order to start, and you have to disengage the clutch in order to stop it. And how restarting quickly generally happens, they use a larger stator motor. Okay, they use a larger stator motor and also a battery. They use a larger stator motor and also a battery, for which the restarting is also quick. And the engine, or you can say sorry, not the engine, the motor can also withstand high restarting loads, and you can say it can also withstand high restarting cycles. Okay, these things are first implemented before you can say totally converting your vehicle to full electric. These things are first implemented. First is your start stop hybrid. That means engine is the main power source, but it is you can say it is stopped depending on when the vehicle pauses. Okay, you can say again it is started whenever you will be releasing the clutch, or whenever there is some engine requirement like your AC air conditioners and your heaters. Okay, if these things has to be turned on, then your engine has to turn on. In here you can say that we do not have any kind of driving system for your AC, your compressors and your heaters, or you can say any audio devices. There is no external source. Those things are all driven by engine. So whenever you will be requiring those things, you have to keep your engine on. Okay, but if those things are not required, then engine is turned off. So again, we have shifted from start stop to mild hybrid. In mild hybrid, there is a small electric motor. Then what is the use of this motor? You can say this motor is not used for any kind of drive. Okay, this motor is not used for any kind of drive. The main power, you can say the main power source is your internal combustion engine. This electric motor is generally used for in order to run your compressors, in order to run your heaters. Okay, in order to run your audio devices, this electric motor is there, and it is driven by what? Battery. It is driven by battery. See, your pumps and compressors can be driven with electric motor. See, electric motor is not producing any kind of energy, but battery is, you can say, is providing energy to the electric motor, and electric motor is driving your what? Compressor, your audio systems, and all other things. How you'll be seeing, if you have seen an engine, there is a serpent belt. Okay, serpent belt means they are generally connected with your timing chains. Okay, there is a serpent belt here. Serpent belt generally how it is connected, you can see that it is a belt that is generally connected like this. It is connected. You will be having another roller in here. The belt is connected like this in engines. And okay, in here your compressor are there. In here you can say your uh, generators. Okay, electric generators are there, and your crank is here. So, so whenever you will be needing any kind of compressor running, or you can say any audio systems you will be running in your car, or you can say any electric devices, so in any electric vehicle. So your not electric vehicle, sorry, in any engine, IC engine vehicle. So you have to run your engine. Your engine is the main power source for your compressor and also your what? Your audio systems. But in case of mild hybrid, these things, you can say these compressor, these audio systems and your heaters, all these things are run by a electric motor, and the energy is provided by a battery. Okay. With an internal combustion engine allows for assisted acceleration and regenerative braking. When you will be taking out the load from your electric motor, you can say from an internal combustion engine, generally the acceleration increases, and regenerative braking is also there. You can say you can use this electric motor for your regenerative braking also in mild hybrid vehicles. After that, we have strong hybrid. What is the strong hybrid? Strong hybrid means a larger electric motor and a battery combined with downsized ICE allow for better regenerative braking as well as period of electric motor drive. Okay. So remember, a strong hybrid means either it will be completely IC drive, okay, or it will be completely motor driven, or combination of both. Okay, it is either completely IC drive, motor driven, or combination of both. Okay, strong hybrid. You can say that combination means both will be providing an energy ratio of, let's say, 50 is to 50 or 60 is to 40. Okay. In here, you can say in your mild hybrid, if your motors are compensating energy of 10%, okay, your engine will be providing energy of nearly 90%. So out of total 100% energy that is being used by your system, electric vehicle system, or you can say vehicle system, 90% is provided by your engine, 10% is provided by the motor. Okay. So in strong hybrid, we have also different types of hybrid. First one is your a parallel hybrid. What is a parallel hybrid? In parallel hybrid, you can say that your vehicle, okay, your vehicle is connected by both an IC, okay, you can say a IC engine and a motor drive. There is a clutch in here to generally separate your motor and IC engine drive. So you can say in parallel hybrid, this IC engine and motor driven, you can say they are running parallel to each other. They are not in series. Okay, series means we'll be talking about series, but in parallel means you can say a motor and IC generally drives parallel. In here, motor is just compensating some of the engine, you can say some of the loads of IC. Motor is not completely driving, means if you will be stopping the IC engine, motor alone cannot drive. Or if you will be stopping the motor, IC engine cannot alone drive. Okay, though IC engine can drive, but in here you can say IC engine will not be providing sufficient what energy, and in order to have that energy range, or in order to get that energy, motor is generally used. So that ICE engine, you can say the fuel economy, in order to have a high fuel economy, we generally go for parallel hybrids. Okay, where ICE engine is also there, motor is there. Sometimes whenever you want to regenerate, okay, whenever you want to regenerate, you can use this motor as a generator. Also, you can use this IC engine as a generator. Means let's say you are driving your vehicle in very low speed where IC engine is not required. Then motor will only be driving. You'll be switching up the IC engine, or you can say the IC engine will be running in idle, thereby recharging the battery. In PA strong hybrid, PA strong hybrid means it is power split hybrid. Okay, in it is power split hybrid. What is power split hybrid means? The power is efficiently split between, you can say split between the IC and the motor. Here the motor size is bigger. In your parallel hybrid, the motor size is not that big. It has a smaller motor. But in your power split, the motor size is bigger. So why the motor size is bigger? So that the power can split. Means whenever you will be needing the IC engine, the IC engine will switch on. Whenever you will be needing the motor will be switching on. Okay. Hence, we have developed a power split system. So what is the power? You can say what is the use of power split system? Means what is the advantage of power split system? In your series hybrid, we have not discussed about series, but let me say, in your series hybrid, generally series hybrids, you can say series hybrid electric vehicles, they're generally efficient in slow speed. Okay. Your parallel hybrid or PS2 strong hybrid, you can say they are efficient in high speed. So you can say if you will be using a series hybrid, it is efficient in slow speed, but it is not efficient in high speed. If you will be using a P2 strong, you can say P2 strong hybrid, it is efficient in high speed, but it is not efficient in low speed. Hence, how to combine both the high speed and low speed? We will be going for power split. Power split hybrid, you can say generally provide good efficiency in low speed and also good efficiency in high speed by efficiently switching between different power modes. Okay.
Sir, this strong hybrid is that mild hybrid vehicle, no?
No, no, strong hybrid is full hybrid. It is nearly full hybrid. Okay, mild hybrid means you can say in mild hybrid the electric motor is not connected to the drivetrain. Okay, the electric motor is running the pump and compressor. Okay, in mild hybrid the electric motor is just running the pump and compressor. Why? Because whenever your vehicle will be pausing in any traffic, or it will be braking, or it will be questing. Okay, then generally during vehicle traffic, when it is paused in traffic or when it is braking, what happens? Your internal combustion engine is switched off. Okay, remember after the start stop we have gone for mild hybrid. Okay, it is just an upgrade from start stop. Your internal combustion engine is switched off, but you will be needing AC, or you can say your compressor should run and your heater should also run, or your audio system should also run. But if your engine is switched off, how you will be running those systems? Okay, so those systems are run through electric motors. Now, what is the advantage? You know that engine efficiency is nearly 40%. Okay, your F1 engines are 45% efficient. Your F1 engines are just 45. So you can say nowadays you can also go for, not nowadays, in 2019-20, some of them also has shown a efficiency of 65% also. Okay, but still the efficiency is very low. The engine efficiency, remember, is very low. Okay, your F1 engines are also efficient, but they are in comparison to motor, they are very less efficient. If motor is efficiency, you can say motor efficiency is 82% or 90%, your engine efficiency is just 50 to 60%. Okay, hence running an engine is not that efficient, but running a motor is efficient. So your engine is switched off whenever you'll be pausing in traffic. At that point, the energy, you can say that is stored in your battery. You can say the energy that is stored in the battery is provided to the electric motor, and your electric motor runs your compressors. Okay, and you get AC drives. That is mild hybrid. After that, we came for strong hybrid. In strong hybrid, your motor is a part of your drivetrain. Okay, remember, in strong hybrid, your motor is a part of your drivetrain. But in mild hybrid, your motor was not a part of your drivetrain. It was just compensating some of the energies of your IC engine. But in strong hybrid, the electric motor is a part of your drivetrain. In parallel hybrid, you can say both motor and IC engine are driving the vehicle. In power split hybrid, you can say you will be having a larger motor, and also since the motor is also larger, you will be needing a larger battery pack. So your PS strong hybrid to have a larger battery pack. Okay, and that larger battery pack, generally, why the larger battery pack? So that we can efficiently split the power, or we can efficiently switch between IC engine and motor. Okay, after that we have plug-in hybrid. Remember, in strong hybrid that I have shown you, plug-in hybrid, why? What is the difference between plug-in hybrid and strong hybrid? In strong hybrid, either your battery, the battery pack that you are using, either they are charged by IC or they are charged by motor. Remember, your start-stop vehicles, this start-stop, this mild hybrid, they are not, you can say this, the battery that are contained in this type of hybrids, they are not charged externally, though they can be charged externally, but they are generally not charged externally. They are charged internally. Either they will be charged by your IC engine or they will be charged by your motor. But in plug-in hybrid, you have to charge the battery from outside. Okay, in plug-in hybrid, you have to charge the battery from outside. If you'll be seeing the Nissan, you can say not Nissan, that is your Nexon, Tata Nexon's EV, that is a plug-in hybrid. Okay, that is a plug-in hybrid. After strong hybrid, this is the upgrade. Okay, means you have strong hybrid, but now it is a plug-in hybrid. Plug-in means the batteries will not be charged by your what IC engine or your motors. Rather, they will be charged externally. Okay, from your grid. Strong hybrid with downsized ICE, often a large generator and a battery for extended electric range, the necessary electronics to charge the battery and therefore power the vehicle from electric grid. See, from the electric directly, it is not connected to electric grid. Whenever you will be charging your vehicle, then only it is connected to the electric grid. Rest all other time, you can say it is not connected. But the battery charging is not done by any kind of IC engine or any motor. Okay. You can say this is a strong hybrid system. This is not a mild hybrid. This is a strong hybrid system. Strong hybrid, and this is which kind of system? This is a parallel strong hybrid. Okay, this is a P2 strong hybrid.
Hello, sir.
Yes.
So can you again differentiate between the P2 and PS strong hybrid?
Okay. See, P2 strong hybrid means, what is P2 means? You can see motor and IC engine are there. Okay, but IC engine generally provides, let's say, 70% of the power, and your motor provides only 30% of the power. Okay, so whenever your vehicle is, you can say it is just maneuvering with a very slow speed. Let's say speed is just 10 to 20. Okay, you are just maneuvering with very low speed. Then your motor becomes the primary drivetrain. Okay, motor becomes the primary. And now you can say at that point, IC engine will be running idle or it will be completely switched off. If it is running idle, that means it is charging the battery. If it is switched off, it is not charging the battery. So whenever you'll be requiring what higher speed, whenever you'll be requiring higher speed, then IC engine will be coming into play. Okay, IC engine will be coming into play. Now it will be providing 70% of your energy. And at that point, see, motor is also providing energy 30%, and your engine is providing 70% of the energy. Okay, in your P2 strong hybrid. In case of PS strong hybrid, if you can say in case of PS strong hybrid, both motor provides, you can say, nearly 80% of your you can say of your driving energy. IC engine also provides nearly 70 to 80% of your driving energy. In here, motor is not compensating. Remember, in parallel hybrid, motor is just compensating. Motor was just compensating for some energies, for some additional energies. But in case of PS strong hybrid, that is a power split strong hybrid, motor is also using, you can say it is also using, you can say it is providing 80% of all the energies that are required for driving the car. And at the same time, IC also, engine also can provide 70 to 80%. And depending on that, they are what? They are, you can say, whenever sometimes the motor will be providing higher energy, IC engine will be providing lower energy. Sometimes the IC engine will be providing lower energy, motor will be providing higher energy. Why we have gone for these things? Because in series hybrid means how? What is series hybrid? Okay, we have not discussed, but let me show you. In series hybrid, the IC engine, okay, it recharges the battery. Okay, and the battery drives the motor. This is series hybrid. There is a small IC engine, it recharges the battery and it drives the motor. Hence, since it is motor driven, it is very efficient at low speed, but it is not efficient at high speed. Okay, but P2 strong means, you can say this is your parallel hybrid. Parallel hybrid, since IC engine is providing maximum most of the energy, hence it is very efficient at high speed. Okay, it is very efficient at high speed. Okay, means efficiency means I'm not trying, you can say fuel economy also. It is very efficient at high speed. But how to have a mechanism, or you can say how to have a machine that is both efficient, you can say in low speed as well also efficient in high speed. Means you can say if it is, if in your series hybrid, let's say slow speed efficiency is 80%. Okay, slow speed in your series hybrid, slow speed efficiency is 80%. Okay, and high speed efficiency is 40%. In case of P2 strong hybrid, your slow speed efficiency is, let's say, 30%. Okay, high speed efficiency is 70%. So you can say that if you'll be going for using a series hybrid, you can never drive it very high speed. If you'll be going for P, you can say P2 strong hybrid, you can never drive it at low speed. So how to use a system, or how to develop a system so that it can compensate for both, you can say, so you can your high speed and low speed. So we have gone for P2 strong hybrid, that is a power split system. It is generally efficient, let's say 50% efficient at slow speed, and it is, not sorry, it is how much, 70% efficient at slow speed, and it is 60% efficient at high speed. So you can see now, if I'll be taking the average, and in here if I'll be taking, you'll be getting this as more efficient than these two. Okay, these are more efficient than these two. So this is your P2 strong hybrid and PS strong hybrid. So you got it, what is P2 and PS?
Yes, sir.
We'll be
So,
going for-
there are any practical example of application of this?
Yes,
Mm,
yes, lot
well-
of vehicles. You will be typing, let me see. You can say your Ford has 2 to 3 vehicles in P2 strong hybrid. Okay, your Nissan has vehicles in P2 strong hybrid. Your Toyota has vehicles in both P2 and PS strong hybrid. Okay, a lot of vehicles are there that generally use these things. Okay.
Yes, sir.
If I'll be saying your Toyota Highlander, okay, there is a vehicle that is a Toyota Highlander. Okay, it uses your series HEV. Okay, it is a series hybrid electric vehicle. Your Toyota Highlander. Okay, there is a vehicle that is a Saturn View Green. Saturn vehicle. Okay, it is a mild hybrid. We have said it is a mild hybrid. Your Saturn V2, it is a what? Saturn View Green. Okay, the company is Saturn. Saturn is a vehicle manufacturer. It has what? It has mild hybrid vehicles. Your PS strong hybrid, it is Chevrolet Silverado. Okay, there is a vehicle that is a Chevrolet Silverado. It uses this PS strong hybrid. Okay, plug-in hybrid. Most of the vehicles nowadays, those are plug-in hybrid. Okay, so I am in this figure. This is your P2 strong hybrid. So P2 strong hybrid, and also it can also be PS strong hybrid. Okay, it can, these images, this image both represent your P2 and PS strong hybrid. Okay, because both of them are parallel systems. Both of them are parallel systems. There is a motor, there is a ICE, and there is a mechanical coupling. Depending on the drive requirement. If the drive requirement, you can say, if I'll be considering only P2, then whenever your drive requirement is higher, your IC engine will be running. Okay, whenever your drive requirement is very low, your motor will be running. If this is a PS strong hybrid, you can say in the same way, whenever you will be needing we can say in here, if you want to drive, let's say you will be switching on cruise control. Okay, if you want to use cruise control at high speed, then motor will be driving. But if you want to have rapid acceleration and deceleration at high speed, then your IC engine will be driving. Okay, for smooth driving you will be switching on motor. For rough driving you will be switching on your IC. Means you will not be switching on, but the power electronics will be switching them automatically. Okay, so that the efficiency, you can see the efficiency curve will remain within the what working range, or within a specified range. Your P2 strong hybrid and PS strong hybrid. After that, you can say these are the vehicles. Your if I'll be saying these complete electric vehicles. Okay, these delivery cars, short commutator car, mobile, but there's complete electric vehicles. Okay, you can say hybrid and plug-in hybrid vehicles. Your passenger cars, they generally go for plug-in, and you can say hybrid and plug-in hybrid vehicles. Fuel cell vehicles. Okay, we have not discussed about fuel cell vehicles, but generally your bus, truck, or you can say large commercial vehicles, They do not go for any kind of battery or motor driven system. Okay. Yes, motor is there, but they do not go for battery driven system. Okay. Even if battery is there, you can say that those batteries are recharged using your fuel cell. Okay. Those batteries are recharged using your fuel cells, and they have a larger battery pack. Remember what happens in case of delivery trucks. If you'll be using a lot of battery, they will be taking most of the weight. Okay, means you can say that if when this delivery truck, when IC engine was used, it was able to, means its total weight was, let's say, 5 5,000 kilogram, or 5 ton. Okay, 5,000 kg. It is total weight when it was using IC engine. But when it is using battery and motor system, okay, since battery will be taking a lot, because you can say lithium, lead batteries, they will be weighing very more. Cadmium is there in battery. A lot of heavy compounds are there in your battery, so it will be weighing nearly 7,000 or 8,000 kg. Okay, so now if the same vehicle will be weighing 8,000 kg, so the structure, you can say now the loadings has to decrease. You can say it is weighing 5,000 kg. It can take a load of same 5,000 kg. Load means the carriages. It can carry 5,000 kg. It is weighing 5,000 kg. It is carrying 5,000 kg. Now when I am using the battery in this vehicle, it is weighing 8,000 kg. Now it can only carry 2,000 kg. Okay. Hence, it is not that efficient. Hence, we are going for fuel cell. And fuel cell will be directly powering your motor system by using supercapacitors. Okay. They will not be using any kind of battery drive. Your fuel cells will be directly driving the motor system. Or you can say, or your drive system. There will be small batteries in order to drive your, you can say, audio systems, your compressor. Okay, all these things you can be driven with batteries. But your main drivetrain will be, but it will be using, you can say, the power source will be the fuel cell. Okay, in these vehicles. So after that, we'll be coming for series PHVs. Okay, series plug-in hybrid. Remember, these are all plug-in hybrids. Series hybrids are generally used in, you can say, generally go for plug-in hybrids. They do not go for internal recharge of battery. They go for plug-in hybrids only. The ICE, the generator, the battery, the motor, and transmission are all in series. Series means you can say the ICE, the generator, the battery, and the motor. So all the drive to the wheel is ultimately provided by the electric motor, powered by either the battery or the ICE. Okay, so you can say the ICE can be used as a generator. Okay, or you can say it is generally used as a generator. What happens? Your ICE recharges the, you can say ICE recharges the battery. Okay, and your battery drives the electric motor. This is series. This is completely a series hybrid. Then again, PS power split plug-in hybrid. The power split similar to PS strong hybrid, but with larger battery and ability to drive with the engine off. You can say whenever in here, in this PS hybrid, okay, in this PS strong hybrid, the you can say the charging of the batteries were taking place by the motor or by the generator. Generator means your IC engine. Okay, generator means your IC engine. Okay, the battery is either charged by your IC engine or your motors. How through motors? You can say motors will be charging the battery through regenerative braking, and your generators or your IC engine will be charging the battery by consuming fuel. But in case of your plug-in hybrid, okay, you can completely switch off the engine. Why? Because though you can internally charge your battery, but still you can charge from external port also. You can charge your vehicle from external port also. And with this, what, the engine is completely off. Now you can completely, after some upgrade, you can completely remove the engine. If you are charging and your batteries are efficient and your motors are efficient, then there is no need of engine. You will be completely removing the engine. In here, I am showing you how the architecture, EV architecture is changing. You can say it is upgrading. First start stop, then mild, then strong, then plug-in. Okay, then series plug-in, then power split plug-in. After that, complete electric vehicle architecture. The only source of power is a large battery charged from the grid. Charged from the grid means charged in your home or in your office, anything. Because you are ultimately getting the power from grid only. In your office, in your home, you are ultimately getting the power from grid. So whenever you will be charging any kind of battery electric vehicle will be charging them from the grid only, which drives the wheel via a motor connected in series. Okay. This is your complete battery electric vehicle. Then fuel cell electric vehicle, the source of power is a fuel cell that generates electricity from fuel such as hydrogen, either to charge a battery or to drive motor to the power edge. See, if you are using, let's say, it charges a battery, but the battery pack may or may not. Remember, the battery pack may or may not be the what? You can say the maximum power source. Okay, you can say the highest power source, or you can say the primary power source. Okay, battery is not the primary power source for your motor. The battery is being charged by your fuel cell. Okay, the power source of your battery is fuel cell, but battery may or may not be the primary power source for your motor. Okay, batteries may be driving your lights, maybe driving your audios, maybe driving your compressors. Okay, but batteries they do not drive the motor because motors will be directly driven from hydrogen cells, or you can say fuel cells. Okay, because if you will be again you will be using a fuel cell, you will be recharging the battery, then again you will be drawing energy from the battery. For that you will be needing a very large battery pack, and that large battery pack will be weighing too much, thereby reducing your efficiency. So again, selection of transmission. How will be selecting different types of transmission for different types of architectures? Okay. So hybrid electric vehicles. HEVs means your hybrid electric vehicles reduce fuel consumption relative to conventional vehicles in three ways: by implementing regenerative braking. Braking, remember, when you will be braking, your energy, you can say, you are converting your useful energy to useless energies. Okay. What are the useless energies? At your breaking point, the useless energies are your sound energies and your heat energies. Okay, means you are converting useful energies to useless energies. Means the energy that neither can be captured, that neither can be stored, neither can be recycled. Okay, so you are just losing all your energy to the atmosphere. Hence, if we are going for regenerative braking, we are just gaining back, or we are just getting back a lot of energies that your vehicle possesses. Okay, because remember, you are using your IC engine to provide a specific kinetic energy to your vehicle, and again the same energy that the engine has exhausted to get the kinetic energy, you will be reducing that kinetic energy to a given energy by using your brakes. So we are actually dissipating all the energies that are provided, you can say, that are given, that are provided by your engine. So instead of doing that, if we can convert that energy, that braking energy, to again some kind of what useful energy, then that will be good. Your total energy content is not decreasing rapidly with time. Okay, your total energy content is not decreasing rapidly with time. So what you will be getting higher mileage, will be getting higher efficiencies. Okay, reducing idle time. Idling time means whenever you'll be waiting in a traffic, whenever you'll be waiting somewhere, your engine should run in idle. Okay. Why? Because you can say that when you're starting and stopping your engine is very extensive process. Okay. It's a very, you can say, it is a very intensive process. Your engine starting and uh, generally engine starting is a very intensive process. Why? Because your engine does not weigh less. Okay. The pistons, your flywheel, they weigh very, they weigh, you can say they weigh too much. Okay, so you have to overcome those inertias, and whenever you'll be overcoming those inertias, you will be applying some more energy. After they have gained some energy, they will be in sync. Okay, after they have gained some energy, now you just have to do not have to provide a lot of energy to them, but whenever you'll be starting, you have to provide a lot of energy. Hence reduced idling time. Enabling engine downsizing. Okay, engine downsizing means you can say whenever you will be coupling, whenever you will be having a motor and an engine coupling, if your motor and battery systems are very efficient, then you can downsize the engine also in your hybrid electric vehicle. So after that, what are the architecture? Let's say for start, stop, and mild hybrid systems, minimal electrification, and therefore you can say in your start stop, minimal electrification, and therefore exhibit both the smallest cost and the least fuel consumption reduction. In start stop, what we have said, that your IC engine is the primary energy, you can say primary energy source, but you can actually switch off the IC engine. Okay, in your traffics, so you can reduce the what, you can increase your mileage, you can say the fuel, the generally, if I'll be talking about US, okay, in US, whenever they have when they have implemented the start stop technology in your what in your vehicles, they have nearly gained what nearly 10 to 12% increase in fuel economy. Okay, they have nearly got 10 to 12% increase in fuel economy. There is a research that shows that nearly 14.8 billion, okay, 14.8 billion liters of gasoline is expended at traffics only. You can say whenever your vehicles they are pausing in traffic and their engine is running in idle, they are generally expending a lot of fuels. Okay, and you can say a lot of, and if we'll be calculating that fuel in a year, the total amount is 14.8 billion liters. Okay, so that is too much. So now if you are just implementing the start stop technique, you are just reducing that to, you can say, you can say still there will be some loss, but that is not that enough. That is not near to 14.8 billion. Now you have something in millions. Augmented stator motor for quick startup and standard alternator, they can accept some of braking energy. Okay, augmented starter motor means you can say the starter motor is now bit larger. Okay, since you are using a bigger battery pack, your starter motor is bit larger, so that it can what it can withstand high currents and also high what start cycles. Means if you remember, if you will be running your engine in idling, so you can say that your stator motor is not experiencing high cycles, a high amount of cycle means in a day, in a given, you can say in a single run, in single 1 hour run, your just vehicle is just starting once or twice. But whenever you will be going for start stop, your vehicle will be starting, let's say 10 times, means it will be switching off at traffic, it will be again starting, it will be switching off at traffic, it will be again starting. So your starter motor must have high life. Okay, because of, you can say, high start and stop cycles. So they have augmented the stator motor and they have increased the battery pack, so that they will be reducing what is fuel consumption in start stop and mild hybrid vehicles. Okay. In mild hybrid, remember, in mild hybrid the motor is not connected to any kind of drivetrain. Rather, a battery and a motor system is used to what used to drive some auxiliary components of your vehicle. It is just used to drive some auxiliary components of your vehicle. The primary components, your drivetrain, your some of things, okay, some other things are generally driven by the IC only. The reduction in fuel consumption is minimal for this simple start stop system, estimated to be 2.1%. Okay. Per vehicle, reduction is nearly 2.1%. So SOC is monitored so that electric motor can start the engine reliably. See, the battery SOC is monitored so that the electric motor can start the engine reliably without damaging the motor. Remember, your stator motor, since a lot of torque is required to start your motor. So uh, you can say whenever you will be starting your vehicle, your stator motor will be driving a lot of current from the battery pack, and whenever it will be driving, or it will be, yes, whenever it will be consuming or driving a lot of motor from a battery pack, it will be heating up, thereby reducing the efficiency. So the SOC, state of charge, is monitored. Okay, and if you have a low SOC, even if you are standing in a traffic, your engine will not be stopping. Your engine will be trying to recharge the battery, so that after some time, when the battery is charged, it will be stopping itself, and your battery is charged, completely charged, to provide that additional, or you can say to provide that high current to your stator motor. Strong hybrids, how what they use a larger motor, generator, and battery than mild hybrids, allowing for recapture of energy through regenerative braking as well as greater engine downsizing. Why in strong hybrids? Because now your motors are participating. In strong hybrids, your motors are participating in drivetrain, or you can say in driving. This hence they have larger motor and batteries than mild hybrids. The system the systems are much more costly to implement than start stop or mild hybrid systems, but they generally exhibit much fuel economy. Okay, the system are much more costly to implement than start stop or mild hybrid system, but they generally exhibit much fuel economy. The strong hybrids, they exhibit much fuel economy. Okay, why? Because actually you are reducing the use of engine, and as I have said, engines are just 50 to 65% efficient. Okay, and they are just efficient in an economic range. they are very less efficient in some other range. So if you will be taking out the IC engine and you will only be driving it to battery and motors, you will be getting efficiency of same. You can say you will be getting efficiency of nearly 80 to 90%. Okay. P2 hybrids has a clutch between the engine and motor generators. P2 hybrid means our parallel hybrid. The engine friction does not reduce regenerative braking. Engine friction means whenever the engine is connected to the clutch, if there is regenerative braking, the engine may or may not be driven. Generally, it is not driven. Hence, the engine friction does not reduce regenerative braking. Using transmission, the motor generator can spin at higher speed to recover more energy. Using the transmission, the motor using the transmission means what? You can see using the transmission means there are gear reductions. So if you want to drive your motor, okay, with high RPM, so that the batteries can charge quickly. So you can at that time you can use the reduction in your transmission system. Okay, so that it can spin at high speed to recover more energy from your regenerative braking. Okay, by see regenerative braking means let's say your your car means regenerative braking, let's say it is starting at a speed of 20 kilometer per hour. The vehicle speed is 20 kilometer per hour and your regenerative braking is starting at this point. Okay. So 20 kilometer per hour is not that speed, not that good. You can say it is not that high speed. That means that the energy will be recovered too efficiently. So what happens at that point? You can use the transmission to increase the speed. Okay. Why? Because it will be let's say it will be increasing a larger gear in here and you'll be coupling that with a smaller gear. So the smaller gear will be having what higher RPM, okay, than the larger gear. So with that increase in higher, you can say that increase in RPM, your battery charges quickly. This is your P2 hybrid. You can say engine, clutch, motor generator, transmission, electronic. You can the same thing that we are studying. But you can say this is also a different type of what? Your architecture, electric architecture. There is engine, there is clutch, there is motor generator, transmission, and different. Then there is power split hybrid. Rely on planetary gear set with those three inputs are you can say the engine, the motor, the generator. Remember in power split hybrid can efficiently switch between what? Not engine and motor, but they can efficiently manage that when to use what. Means whenever you will be driving at very high speed and you will be driving aggressively. So the engine will be providing much of the power, the motor will not be motor will be providing power, but it will not be providing much of the power. Most of the power will be provided by your engine. Whenever you will be driving smoothly, okay, you are driving smooth but high speed, then most of the powers are provided you by the motor. Some of the powers are provided you by by your what engine. So the main thing is engine, motor, and generator. The generator is used to charge the battery, and the motor is connected to the wheel to provide additional torque during acceleration and to recover energy from the wheel to recharge the battery. When engine power is not needed to move the vehicle, some of the power goes to the generator to charge the battery. Okay. Remember, if engine power is not needed, then engine is not switched off. If there is a charge requirement, then that engine is now converted to a generator. Okay, that recharges the battery. This raises the engine output and thus improve engine efficiency. Okay, this raises the engine output and thus improves engine efficiency. This is a power split hybrid. There is a planetary gear. Okay, and this planetary gear generally what it does, it generally efficiently shifts. It generally efficiently shifts what? Shifts the load between engine, motor, and generator. See, generator can be independent, but sometimes the engine can also be the generator. Okay, generator can be independent, and sometimes the engine can also be your generator. This is a power split hybrid. After plug-in hybrids are the next step from hybrids to full BEV. You can say your battery electric vehicles. Plug-in hybrids are the next step from mild hybrids to full battery electric hybrids. So you can say what are the advantages? You can say reduce petroleum consumption because some energies come from the grid. significantly lower cost per mile driven electrically with gasoline and ICE, reduce GHG. GHG means greenhouse gases. Okay, GHG means your greenhouse gases. The Chevrolet Volt emits nearly 300 gram CO2 per month. It's too much reduction in your per greenhouse gas. Then reduced tailpipe emission. You can see your NOx, CO, and HC emissions are also reduced. Why? Because NOx, CO, and HC are emitted at very high speed. Remember, NOx, CO, and HC are not emitted at low speed, nearly at a speed of 50 to 80 kilometer per hour. In your new vehicles, okay, if your vehicle is just 5 to 10 years old, at 50 to 80 kilometer per hour, your NOx are not that much. Okay, NOx, your CO, your HC are not produced. You can say the amount that is produced is very less. Okay, but when you will be going for this is 50 to 80 kilometer per hour in your newer vehicles that are from 5 to 10 years of aging. Okay, with 5 to 10 years of age, if you will be going for 50 to 80 kilometer per hour, you will not be getting the NOx, CO, and HC that much. But if you will be driving it nearly 120 to 160 kilometer per hour, then your NOx emission increases. Your NOx, your CO, your HC increases. Okay. Now motor selection. Okay, so motor will be starting on tomorrow. Okay, because after motor we will be designing the motor. So we have selected the powertrain. What is the powertrain generally we'll be using? Generally plug-in hybrid powertrains. Okay, plug-in hybrid powertrains are the best powertrains. And what they use? They use a strong hybrid system. Okay, plug-in hybrids, they use a strong hybrid system. See, power split hybrids are good, but they are very costly. Why? Because they use a planetary gear set. Power split hybrid systems are good, but they use a planetary gear set. Hence, they are not that. You can say the cost advantage is very less. Okay, because they will be costing too much. But your P2 hybrids are very efficient. Okay, they do not cost that much. And if you will be converting this P2 hybrid to plug-in hybrid, they are also very efficient. Okay. So this is the transmission system that you will be using. A engine, a clutch, electronics, motor generator, transmission unit, and differential. After that, we'll be discussing what is the motor that are generally used. Okay. So now I'll not be stopping, but rather I'll be continuing with the motor selection also. Okay. So let us go for motor selection. So what are the different types of motor? If I'll be saying about different types of motor, let me just show you another thing. You can say in here, let's see, this is another, you can say there are different types of DC motors. Your permanent magnet motors, separately excited motors, self-excited motors, shunt excited, series excited. Just remember, this will not be discussing, but generally we'll be discussing this permanent magnet motors, okay, and self-excited motors, okay, this thing, and some compound motors also. In this, we'll be discussing this. So from these permanent magnet motors, we will be going for brushed DC motors. Okay. Their brushed DC motors are well known for their ability to achieve high torque at low speed and their torque speed characteristics suitable for traction requirement. Remember, your brushed DC motors, you can say, they can provide what? A very high torque to speed characteristics. Okay, they can provide very high torque to speed characteristics. How about brush? The motor speed is adjusted through varying voltage. Okay. Remember, in motor, your RPM, as I have said, your voltage control the RPM. Remember, in motor, whenever will be your voltage controls the RPM, your current controls the torque. Okay, your voltage controls the RPM, your current controls the torque. Being suitable to propel the vehicle and easy to control as they have been used on EVs. However, brushed DC motors drive have a bulky construction, lower efficiency and lower reliability. We'll be seeing why they have these things. Higher need of maintenance mainly due to presence of mechanical commutators and brushes. It is difficult to downsize brushed DC motors. You can say this is your brushed DC motors. Since there are commutators, okay, and there are brushes, so they generally wear out with time. Okay, they generally wear out with time. Since they have this type of connections, brush connections and commutator connections, their downsizing is not that possible. Okay, downsizing these motors is not that possible. Okay, because this is your brushed DC motor. They have very good torque speed characteristics. Okay, suitable for traction requirement. But because of this commutator and brushes, okay, and for the high need of maintenance, you can say because of very high need of maintenance, they generally what are not used. Though they are used till now, brush DC motors are used. Okay, but these are their drawbacks. After brush DC motors, what we have? We have induction motors. Induction motors are of simple construction, reliability, ruggedness, low maintenance, low cost, and ability to operate in hostile environment. The absence of boost friction permits the motor to raise the limit of maximum speed and higher rate of speed enable this motor to develop higher output. Remember induction. Induction you have studied in your physics. What is induction? If you will be having a coil in here, okay, and there is another coil in here. If you will be energizing this coil, then this coil will also be energized. Okay, with a specific current and potential. Okay, this is generally induction. Here, let me draw it correctly. Okay, if you have a coil in here, okay, and it is energized by battery. If you will be having another coil in here, load is provided in here. So if you will be energizing this coil, okay, if you will be energizing this coil, then you will also be getting what? Some currents in here, some energy in here. Because of even if there is air gap in here, even if there is air gap in between, still you can say they can communicate or they can transmit energy within themselves, and that is your induction only. So induction motor generally use this principle. Okay, its stator and its rotor both are of what? Electromagnets. Okay, its stator and its rotor both are electromagnets. We'll be seeing those things. The absence of boost friction permits the motor to raise the limit for maximum speed and higher rating of speed, enable this motor to develop higher output. Okay. In brushed DC motor, you'll be having a magnetic core. You can say this is a permanent magnet. Okay, and this is a electromagnet. This is a permanent magnet and this is a electromagnet. But in case of induction motor, there is no permanent magnet. Okay, it drives on the you can say principle of induction. Speed variation of induction motors are achieved by changing the frequency of voltage. Why by frequency? By changing the frequency of voltage, you can see. Let me show you the induction. Just read this one. We'll be discussing this. Field orientation control (FOC) of induction motor can decouple its torque control from field control. Okay. However, controller of induction motors are higher cost than DC motors. Presence of breakdown torque limits its extended constant power operation. So this is your induction motor. So what happens? This is your induction motor. This is the stator. This is the rotor. Both of them are electromagnets. Okay, when they are energized by magnetic coils. So the speed variation of induction motor is achieved by changing the frequency of voltage. So what is frequency of voltage and how it is dependent? Just let me show you one thing. Let me show you the working principle of a motor. This is how the motor generally works. Okay, North Pole, South Pole, by using what? By using your Fleming's left hand rule. Okay, you will be getting what is the direction of it. You can say this is the direction of magnetic field, direction of current, and direction of force. From that, you can say whether your this coil will be rotating in anti-clockwise direction or clockwise direction. Okay, you can remember all these things you know from your 12th class physics. Okay, there is another thing that I'll be saying you. What is magnetism? Okay, and how magnets are produced. This is your Lorentz. Remember, this force is your Lorentz force. Okay, J cross B. J is your current density. B is your magnetic field. Okay, this is your Fleming's right hand rule. Depending on that only, let's say if your current in your that coil, sorry, in that coil, this is the direction of flow of current. Okay, and your magnetic field is perpendicular to the flow. Okay, so your Lorentz force will be what? It will be in the direction. Okay, that is, you can say it is that will be coming out of the screen. Okay, direction that is, it will be coming out of the screen. So depending on that, you will be having the Lorentz force. Just see in here. In here, you can see the magnetic field is in this direction. Okay, and the force is in this direction, and the current is in this direction. Okay. You can say you can calculate this for working principle. I'll be calculating. Okay, I'll not be saying you these things. I'll just be saying you one thing. That what is magnetism and how what is electromagnetism? Okay. Remember, magnetism in permanent magnet. The magnetism occurs for a different reason, and in case of your electromagnet, you can say you can say the magnetic force. Okay, generally the force we are considering the force in here. There are two types of forces. First force occurs because of permanent magnet. Second force occurs because of electromagnet. So how these forces occurs? Okay, and why we call them as electromagnet and permanent magnet? Remember, in permanent magnet, you have what? Your there is, you can say, the electrons generally arranged, how they are arranged in cells. Okay, they are arranged in cells, and each electron has spin. Okay, each electron has spin. So if their spin is balanced, then they will not be exhibiting any kind of magnetic behavior. Okay, if their spins are imbalanced in here, if their spins are imbalanced, then they will be exhibiting magnetic field, because you can say your electrons are also tiny magnets. Your electrons are also tiny magnets. When you will be putting your electron in any magnetic field, they will be behaving in a way how the magnets will be behaving. Your electrons are tiny magnets. So whenever the electron spin are not cancelling each other, so because of higher density of a particular spin of electrons, you'll be getting magnetism in case of your permanent magnets. Okay, remember permanent magnets. Why the permanent magnets show a magnetic force, or you can say this produce a force, because your electron spins are not balanced. You can say this last one is not balanced. These are all balanced except the last one. Okay, so since the electron spins are not balanced, okay, so your permanent magnet you can say provide some force to other likable materials like your iron, your nickel. Okay, they provide a force because of this you can say uh, imbalance of electron spin. Okay, so if you'll be asking, sir, why these things, no one knows these things. Okay, why a electron has a charge, no one knows. Why electron has this much amount of mass, there is no answer to that. Okay, those are fundamental quantities. Okay, they are present and we have to take them in that way only. Okay, your electron weight, your electron spin, electron charge, they're all fundamental things by nature. So if you'll be asking why nature has given all these things, we don't know. There is no answer. So that is the reason why, remember, this is the reason why permanent magnets have some force, electromagnetic, sorry, not electromagnetic, magnetic force. So how electromagnets are then formed? Electromagnets are formed because of your theory of relativity. Okay, if you have studied in your physics, okay, in your first year or second year physics, how electromagnets are formed? Electromagnets are formed because of theory of relativity. So what happens? You can see your electrons are negatively charged and they flow. Okay, in case of your electromagnet, electrons are negatively charged, so they flow. But your protons, they are positively charged, they do not flow. So when your electrons flow, whenever though they do not flow at the speed of light, but still their flow speed is too much. Okay, from a normal working, you can say whenever you will be switching on from the ground floor, at an instant only your lights will be what uh, will light up. Okay, your any electronic component will light up, or you can say will start whenever you will be switching it on at an instant. So you can say the electron flow, though the electron will not be flowing from the switch to that point. Okay, it will just be starting from that end, but still the electron flows inside your conductors. Now when the electrons will flow, there will be what? There will be length contraction. Okay, whenever the electron will be flowing at a specific speed, there will be length contraction. So after some time, you can see that the electrons will be accumulated. Okay, at first they were what? They were balanced when the electron speed was not that. When the electron speed is increasing, okay, you can see the electrons gets concentrated in some regions during their flow only. Remember. So, remember, at first when the electrons were flowing, for each positive there was an electron. For each positive there was an electron. For each positive there was an electron. So total charge was zero. Okay. But now when the electrons are flowing because of length contraction, now each positive has two electrons. Okay. Now the total charge is imbalance for a particular range. So that range now creates a field, that is a electric field. Okay. So electric field that is perpendicular to the flow of current. Okay, or you can say flow. Your hence we say as electric field and magnetic field are perpendicular in case of what? Your electromagnets. Okay, because electric field means the field due to which the electrons are flowing. Okay, and the force that is generated when the electrons are electrons are flowing because of varying charge. Okay, you can say not varying charge, because of imbalance in charge. Okay, those fields are perpendicular to each other. Okay, hence you will be getting a field. Okay, that is a electric field. You can say your magnetic force in electric field is same. Okay, means your electromagnet also means the electromagnetic force is also similar to as electric force. It is similar, just it is now viewed from other direction. It is now viewed from other direction. Okay, so you are getting it, how the permanent magnet are getting their magnetic force and how the electromagnets are getting their magnetic force. Electromagnets are getting their magnetic force because of what? Theory of relativity. Okay. So this is how your motor works. This is how your magnetism works. Means any kind of magnets, they work this type. Any kind of electromagnets are permanent magnets. So induction motor also work like that. Okay, induction motors also works like that. So now if I'll be saying about this word, the speed variation in frequency. So what happens actually in your motors, again let me show you. Okay, so this I'll be discussing this one. Okay, have time, so I will do it. See, if you are able to see this, you can see in a motor there are poles. These are the poles. They are magnetic poles. Okay, these are magnetic poles. So this is a three-phase motor. Means it has three poles. Okay. So what happens? You can say that your magnetism. Okay, means any conductor will be providing means a magnet. Let's say this is a conductor. Okay, and in here your once it is positive, it is negative, and electrons are flowing like this in the conductor. So whenever you'll be having a, let's say your potential is 50 hertz, okay, to 40 volt. So what happens? This 50 hertz is the period. Okay, this 50 hertz is the period. Means your within this period, your magnetism will rise to a peak, then it will be dropping. Again, it will be rising to a peak, then it will be dropping. Again, it will be rising to a peak, and it will be dropping. So 50 hertz is actually the cycle time of your magnetic field. This 50 hertz is the cycle time of your magnetic field. Okay, means this 50 hertz is actually means actually not actually the means cycle of your magnetic field. It is the cycle of your current. Okay, 50 hertz is the cycle of your current. But since this current is also dependent, means magnetic field is completely dependent on the current. So your magnetic field also produces a phase. Okay, or you can say a cycle of same 50 hertz. Okay, so you can say that your induction motor will also be capturing this phase. Okay, that means you can say that uh, because of this phase, remember whenever you'll be having the maximum magnetic field, then you'll be having the maximum magnetic force. So when you'll be increasing or you'll be decreasing, let's say 60 hertz. 60 hertz means what? You can see now your frequency will be increasing. Okay, frequency will be increasing means now they will be magnetizing and demagnetizing very quickly. Okay, and since they are magnetizing and demagnetizing very quickly, now their RPM will increase. Okay, their RPM will increase. At first they were magnetizing and demagnetizing with a cycle of 50 hertz. Now since the cycle has increased, they will be magnetizing and demagnetizing with a higher speed. Okay, hence you will be getting an increase in RPM. Okay, you will be getting an increase in RPM. Okay, so got it? How you can say by changing the frequency by voltage, you can say speed variation. There is speed variation. Variation means RPM variation. Means you can say in 50 hertz, your coils are getting magnetized and demagnetized with a 50 hertz cycle. Now, when you'll be increasing it to 60, now your conductors are, you can say, magnetizing and demagnetizing with a cycle of 60 hertz. Okay, so with that, you can see we'll be having an increase in RPM. Okay, so I'll be keeping it in here. This field orientation control, I'll be saying you tomorrow. Okay, what is this field orientation control? Because for that, we have to know the sleep within the motors. Okay. Okay, so now this much for today. If you want to ask any question or if you have any doubt, you can ask. If you have any doubt, you can ask quickly. Heman, Asit, if anyone of you have any doubt, you can ask. Okay, so if you have no doubt, or are you able to hear me or not? I'm audible, na?
Yes, sir.
Yes. Okay, so if you have no doubt, then I'll be ending the session. Tomorrow we'll be studying this induction motor. Then we'll be what? We'll be designing the motor in our ANSYS RM expert. That will be taking a whole, you can say one class, complete one class. Okay. So if you have no doubts, I'll be. Okay, someone has asked.
Okay, sir.
So why 220 volt is taken as standard voltage? See, 220 volt is taken as standard voltage because you can say that after being how I'll be saying, you can say that 220 volt. It is not. It is actually standard in here. Okay, you have 110 volts also. Okay, in Japan and in some US, you will be having 110 volt. 110 volt is there in your electric supply also. Why 240 volt is there? Because uh, generally, if you will be calculating, okay, if we'll be calculating 240 volt means what is means in this much speed the electrons will be flowing. Okay, so if you are transmitting any kind of electricity, okay, it means any kind of electricity transmitting. So what is the what should be the source voltage and what should be the end voltage? Okay, so that the transmission can be seamless. So in here, if our source voltage is 1100 kVA and our sink or you can say end voltage is 240, then there is good balance between those transmissions. Okay, that is the first thing. Second thing is, you may remember all your electronics are developed on the basis of these things only. Okay, how much should be the loss? You can say that if it will be 240 volt for domestic, you give, since domestic things, you can say that domestic products. After that, it has means these things are arranged in some way. Means 240 volts for domestic, 440 volts for industries, but they are generally calculated on the basis of loss. Okay, means what should be your source voltage and what should be your end voltage or sink voltage, so that there will be minimum loss. So according to that, your 240 volt is the correct voltage. Okay, that is the first reason. There are all lot of reasons. Okay, that yes, the electronic components work on those voltages, so it is kept at 240 volts and some other things. Generally it is seen as losses. Okay, if you will be developing a 240 volt transformer, it will be good. So in that way only, Tesla developed reluctance sink motor. Yes, we will be studying those motor. Okay, in here induction motor is also there and switch reluctance motor is also there. Okay, so we will be seeing what is more efficient, thrust motor or induction motor. Will be seeing all this. After the induction motor, we will be having
Experiment, sir.
the permanent magnet.
Sir,
Yes.
sir, when compared to the power, no, sir, induction motor is highly usable, no, sir.
Yes, induction motors actually what is since induction motors can be good generators also. Okay. Induction motors could be yes and also it can be very good generators. Okay. And induction motors are very efficient to use. Okay, why they are efficient to use? Generally because of their design. They have cooling jackets, they have lot of things, and you can say since there is interaction between coils. Okay, interaction between coils, so they'll be having very minimum air gap. Permanent magnets they generally die out with time, but their induction motors they do not die out with time. You can see your switch reluctance motors basis is induction motor. Remember, induction motor is a type of motor. It has different categories. Your switch reluctance motor is also a type of induction motor. Okay, your a servo and a lot of motors are there. They're also type of induction motor. So induction motor is a basic, is a base motor. Okay, on base of that we'll be seeing different upgrades. Okay, that is switch reluctance motor is an upgrade of this induction motor. Okay.
Sir, it works on the phase, no, sir.
Huh?
So I think we need more, sir. Am I getting, sir?
Uh-huh. Hello.
Am I audible to you, sir?
Yes, you're audible.
Sir, am I audible?
You're audible.
When compared to DC, yes, yes, sir. I'm audible, sir.
You're comparing AC to DC motors.
No, sir. Actually, no. But when comes to performance, no, sir.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
While compared to DC performance, AC is induction motor performance is widely usable.
Yes. Yes.
So
AC. Sir.
why are we not integrating this to the vehicles?
See, AC, your Tesla is using AC induction motor. Na? See, AC means what? So your batteries will be discharging in DC. Okay, your battery cannot produce DC. Okay, you should be using an alternator. Alternator will be converting your DC to AC. Now, why AC motors are useful? Because of the speed variation. Remember, in here, I have said that the speed variation of induction motors can be achieved by changing the frequency of the voltage. So you can see, if you want to remember, in your DC there is no frequency of voltage. Okay, it is discharged in a current. You can say in a sorry, not a current. You can say in a specific frequency. Okay, your DCs are discharged. You can say DC generally provides your potential and your current in a very specific manner. Okay, there is no cycle time, but your AC do have some cycle time. and because of the cycle time, we can use that cycle time to means to actually have very good interaction between magnetic fields. Okay, we can use that cycle to have very good interaction between magnetic fields. Because of that reason only, AC motors are bit efficient than DC motors. Okay, DC motors, what they do, they use these commutators and this generally they use these commutators. Okay, to convert the to get in a phase. Okay, to get in a phase with electric, you can sorry with magnetic field. But in case of AC motors, you are already having that phase, so you can very efficiently combine the, you can say, this AC phase with the magnetic fields of your motors. Okay, so hence you can see your AC motors are that efficient. But remember, AC motors you are using, but you are actually running them through batteries only. You will be needing an alternator. Alternator, why? Alternator will be alternating depending on the requirement of your magnetic field. Your alternator will be producing what? The required frequency of voltage and current. Okay, Hemant?
Sir. I got it, sir. Last and final doubt, sir.
Yes.
सर मोटर को अगर आई मीन नॉट दिस मोटर्स इंडक्शन मोटर नॉट इंडक्शन मोटर डीसी मोटर सर तो अगर मोटर्स को वोल्टेज इंक्रीज करे तो क्या चेंजेस होगा सर करंट इंक्रीज करे तो क्या चेंजेस आएगा
See, when you will be increasing the voltage, okay, there is an increase in RPM. Okay, when you'll be increasing the voltage, the electrons will be flowing faster. When you'll be increasing the voltage, the electrons will be flowing faster. So the magnetic field will be switching itself faster. Okay, hence you'll be getting a higher RPM. But whenever you'll be increasing the current means what? Now the electrons density will increase. Now since the electron density will increase, the amount of, you can say, the force, magnetic field force will also increase. Remember, at first, when you will be increasing the potential, there is no increase in magnetic force, but the magnetic force, you can say, the cycle of electromagnet will increase. Okay, so not the cycle of electromagnet, the cycle of your magnetic field will increase, for which there is an increase in, you can say, RPM. But whenever you'll be increasing the current, now since the electron density is increasing, and that electron density is increasing the magnetic field strength, okay, for which there is an increasing torque of your motor. Okay, remember this one, your potential governs the speed of electron, your current governs the density of electron. So whenever you'll be increasing the potential, you are increasing the speed at which the electrons are flowing. Okay, so thereby you are increasing the RPM. But when you are increasing the current, you are controlling the amount of electron that is flowing. So you are controlling the force and torque. Okay, you're getting it or not, Hemant?
Yeah, sir, I got it.
Okay. So now, so if you have any question, you can ask, or else I'll be stopping the session. Nabnita, Srinivasulu, Preston, Vaibhav Pandey. Okay. So if you have no more question, others, if you have any question, you can ask. Okay. If you have no more question, then I will be ending the session.